Hey there, dear Ascension pioneers. Sorry for the voice. Good morning. It's morning time in my part of the world, so this is how it is. Today I'm going to be talking about releasing, surrendering the past. Because not just that I feel guided to speak about this, and I've been going through experiences as such in my own life. And also when I tune into the internet, which is not often lately because I spend more time just with me in my own life, experiencing things and growing through them. When I check online, it's like everyone is talking about the past, releasing the past, surrendering the past. And I'm saying, wow, we're all globally connected and going through the same shifts, which I always say are internal and everyone feels and experiences them individually, but we also go through them globally. And this is what connects us in a way. We feel deeply connected. We serve one another in a way that we share our own individual journey and what we are going through in the moment. So, in a way, I've been thinking about this. We have been feeling how to serve us, one another, as to how we need to do something, what we need to do for each other. But in a way, we are here just to serve ourselves as reminders, as divine reminders to remember more about what is truly going on, to always stay neutral and about our process, not to stay positive, but stay neutral and see everything from up here, from an objective observer state, because this is who we truly are when we expand our awareness. So I've been tuning into some of the things, I've been feeling some of the things by myself. And the first thing I would like to mention about this is why we feel maybe the past resurface more at these times. It's not just because I've said that this year, which is true, is a healing year, and some of the things that we wanted to do, we don't do because this needs to be, lived first. This needs to be experienced first, and this needs to be integrated first. That's why some of the plans we might have had have not worked, have not gone through in a way that we've thought and we had expectations about, but they really flow in a way that it's really aligned with the divine flow of things, with the divine will, with the divine timing and what we truly need. And the more we connect with our soul, the more that we get what we need, not what we want and desire, and the more we learn to really love and embrace what is there for us, that is most needed for a journey, so that we can really shift to our true self, to our true core. And that's why these things and situations and life conditions happen. So in order for us to experience them and really shift to our natural state of this flow. So while we feel maybe this releasing, not just releasing, but resurfacing is the first step of the past to come through us right now, it's because we're getting more and more into our multidimensionality, into our multidimensional state of being. It's not like you travel somewhere and you have this experience and you experience yourself as this multidimensional being. And so many people talk about these astral travelings and projections and experiences they have out of their body. It's more about us feeling in our body this multidimensional state of our existence, and we feel that all of these things are us. The soul that is us includes all of our personalities, and we are not whole without each of them. All of them, all these fractions, and there's still a lot of soul fragments, and we need to remember them, re-embrace them, let them back into our lives, as that we can be really whole. And that's why I say this year is the year of healing, because we're learning and remembering how to be whole again, because we have forgotten. We were scared, we had fear. Maybe some people really feel that deeply, and we are now inviting this fear to come through us again so we can embrace it. There's a lot of fear still in many areas, and fear is not always something that you do like, you get scared of something and you say that's fear. There's so many shapes of fear. When you feel sad, that is also fear. Fear is in all those different emotional states that are feeling not pleasant, not the full you. When you don't feel wholeness, and all of that includes fear, it just manifests in a different form. So because we're shifting more and more into our multidimensional natural state, because our DNA is shifting, because our light bodies are influencing our physical bodies, so our physicality is changing due to that, there are physical changes, and there are changes in your emotional beingness, how you feel things, how you perceive things, and that's why you are healing the old, the wounded. But it's not actually the old, it is just something that is not whole again. Because when you call something the old and the new, which is what I also do when I speak in my videos, but in a way that's a limited form of speaking because I need to use this language to get the message through. But I also would like to explain that that is limiting as well, because when you say words like that, you actually limit something to think that it's a line. It's this thing that begins here and it has an end here. But origin of life, creation, has no beginning and no end. It just is, and it's formed through love and universal principles of that love that we are, which is divine love, our natural state. So the more that we remember this is our multidimensional state, the more that past is resurfacing, but that's not actually the past. These are just, kind of think of it, consider like fractions of you that you might have not liked before because of that fear. And people say that was past lives and you're dealing with past lives. But in actuality, that's more complicated than that, because you just exist. You're eternal and you form all these life forms that are you. You form all these beautiful essences of you. Your soul creates them in many different personalities and many different planetary beings and many different fractions of consciousness, of that consciousness of whole, of totality, that just is, that was born, not beginning and an end, but was birthed through creation, through source of all that is. So you are now inviting those parts that maybe on some level of that creation, which you were experiencing on all those levels, that's why you're multidimensional, you are now maybe embracing them again, welcoming them back in your life. You are remembering, you're acknowledging them again, and you are releasing what does not serve, and that which does not serve is that which was formed through fear, through anxiety, through experience that was not maybe always pleasant. But now we are starting to remember the wholeness, and your whole state knows that there is no such thing as something that is imperfect, because in creation everything is perfected, because everything is of source. Like I've said in my previous video, when you attach something, a label like positive and negative and good or bad to something like bad or good experience, you say something is good and is of source, so I love it, and something is bad, so I don't love it, and therefore you say it's not of source. But when you shift into neutral, objective state, everything is of source, and you welcome in every experience, and that's fearless. You're like a lioness, you're like a brave heart, and you just welcome in everything. And that's why we're transcending all these lower states when we didn't know. Not everyone always knew in their journey of the soul that everything is of source, and that every experience that you've had, once again, I'm using the past reference, but every experience that is there, I'll use the eternal, sentence. Every experience that is there is something that is needed for you on every level. There is an experience that is needed there. For instance, you might be very evolved soul, and so many things in your beingness. In your being, there's so much knowingness, but when you come here, you also choose an earthly experience, and that experience is not always pleasant. But when you get to choose from the ego, you'll be able to say also, that is thinking without that humility part, thinking I'm human too, so I can experience everything. That part through ego will say, that does not happen to me because I'm evolved as such and such, so I don't get to experience this, not me. The moment you say something, you just exclude that human part from you. But that human part is what makes you whole as well, because it's something that you experience within creation as well. So that is a part of the totality as well. And when you just push it away, that's fear. That's thinking of duality, of separateness. You're thinking that earthly life is something that is less divine than maybe something that I'm experiencing on another level. That's why so many people, especially in the New Age movement, are focusing on their other lives, other multidimensional fractions, such as, I'm a Pleiadian, I'm a Syrian, I'm from there. I'm really just here for the visit. Even if we're just visiting, that is something that counts just as much. When you wake up, you're alive, you breathe, you exist. So how come that does not matter? So how come that is not divine? So how come that does not count just as equally as everything else? So the same with experiencing things. How come something that is more, of scary nature to you, that you don't like, or there's a disease, or there's a health issue that you have, how come you think that that is not so much important? It's just like this tiny thing, like this tiny itch that I have. So you'll just ignore it and you think you'll go away because it's not divine anyway. So in a way it will go away, but everything is divine. So we have to acknowledge everything, every fraction of the soul, every experience that you have on every level. We have to really embrace it, acknowledge it, in order to surrender those things that don't serve within that experience, which is the fear parts. Surrendering them, and you only can surrender and really let them go, like they burn away through love, is when you truly acknowledge them first. So that means no covering your eyes and saying, no, if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Or, when people say ignorance is bliss, ignorance is not bliss. You have to be aware, and you become aware when you look at all parts, all fractions, when you look at everything in your life that matters. People say, will I make the wrong step? There is no wrong steps. It's a perception that makes it wrong. It's you who likes something better that will perceive that as wrong. So, in a way, it for you becomes a reality, becomes truth. But when you look back from that neutral, objective state, you don't look back. You look above. And there's not even above and below. There's just looking from that view, which includes everything. That's what it means, People usually use all these metaphors that include things like lower, upper, bottom, things like that. We have to find new metaphors. It's just the expansion of consciousness, because the consciousness is, you can really experience all of it or just fractions of it. So that is connected to awareness. That is called awareness. The consciousness just is. So the more you're aware, the more of your true consciousness you get to experience. So that's all about expansion, you see. And you cannot just jump steps. You cannot just really jump forward somewhere if you have not dealt with something that is on this level here. You're expanding the circle. If you look at it as a circle, that it's still, again, that's just a perception. You have to feel it from within. So the more that you will feel everything, the more that you will start including things in your life, not excluding them, not pushing them away, the more whole you will feel. So that's where we're going through these experiences, to transcend that fear element of the experience, but to see that the experience and whole is not bad. Even the fear part is not bad, because that is teaching you something about you. So that is what the surrendering of the past is about. And it's not a past. It's a fraction that you get to encounter on this journey of expansion, that kind of sort of like pushes you backwards, kind of wants to contract. You have these contractions and you actually move even more. You expand or contract. That's the essence of creation, expansion and contraction, and you get to decide which side of the coin you will see. Or you will also see that the coin is round and you will experience everything. Both. Some people just want to experience contraction, victim mode, blame, non-forgiveness. And some people just want to experience the elevated states, the upliftment, the expansion. And there are people who will say, I will not exclude any sort of experience, any sort of part of it. I will experience all, because that's what life is. In breath, out breath, extract, contract, expand and contract. That's what it's about. So the more that we become in flow with this breath of all that is, with this creation breath, the more that we will see that, these fear elements is just the perception part of our beingness, of our experiential self. There you have your divine self, the aware one, the always knowing one, the observer state. And then you have the experiential self, the human self, or some other self that, exists in another form of reality, of interdimensionality, multidimensionality. So in a way, when you think of it, it can sound complicated, but also it can sound very simple. It's just about rediscovering our totality. And some people might say, how do you know you're doing that? You will feel it, because your totality state, your wholeness state is wow. It feels wow. And when you're in contracted mode, it feels, it feels yucky. It feels sticky. It feels, I'm so poor. Why do bad things happen to me? Why do I have to go through this experience? It's so hard. It's so hard. That's the part when you're in contraction mode. Don't judge it. Don't blame it. Don't say, it's bad. I have to only be in this elevated state. That's putting pressure on you. That's being too demanding. Remember, when we are too hard on ourselves, when we are too demanding on ourselves and our inner journey and our process, we become hard on other people as well, because everything reflects everything, because all is a mirror, and your external reality will always show you where your state of beingness is. For instance, we're all learning the most relationships, especially right now, because we're remembering how it is to be in union, not just this isolated hermit self, but how it is to be in union. And the best way to really rediscover union is to be with another within the two and forming the third, which is the Christed, the connected, the whole. That is what we are naturally. So that is how we do that, through relationships. And they get to show us. They get to mirror us. So this is the best part of this journey that you're on. This truly is the best part. And we right now, these are such intense times. But remember, the more you know, because ignorance is not bliss, the more you're aware, the easier it is for you. Because there are some people on this planet right now that do not know, that are not awake. And it's so much harder on them. That's why the awakened ones, we have to be even more awake, our eyes even more wide open, so we can serve as beings who are awake and ripple out, reverberate out those, those feelings of awakeness. Those feelings when you're connected and you know that. And remember, you're always connected. But when you don't feel like that, it's just a perception again. Because you feel more dense and you say, therefore, I'm not connected. I feel like there's this veil around me. I feel like there's this great fog and I can see around me. So I'm not really in my energy zone. I'm really not in my vibe, some people will say. But remember, you're always you. You're always, because you're eternal and you always exist in that state. You just need to remember. So it's not about learning how to be you. It's about remembering who you are and then living that. And using all those truth elements, which is love, and living them. And that is what it's about. So in a way, it really is simple. So when we are surrendering, we're surrendering internally and therefore also externally and globally, and everything is interconnected. And I know, and when I give out these words, I give out my own healing energy to another. So another can connect not to my healing energy. That's what people think. I'm sending you healing. I'm sending you my healing. No, they can feel the healing energies because they're coming from all that is. And they are using them through their own self as well. Because that is what it's about. That is what healing is. Healing is an internal process. Healing is not an external process where someone will beam you with their own energy and they will help you to heal. No, they will be in their own healing and they will just send out these ripples, these waves of healing energy because they're tapping into all that is. They're drawing them forth. They're embodying them. They're living them and they're sending them to you. And you're not actually receiving their own, but you're receiving, nudges and pushes of the divine, and you're, to welcome in through your own self, your own inner process, your own healing energies. And remember, this is the healing year. This is the time to heal. This is the time of resurfacing of the past old wounds. Like I've said, lately we've been feeling a lot of this. A lot of these, some people call them negative emotions, but they're not negative because they get to show us the shadow part. And you need the shadow part in order to see all of it. There is no shadow, but we are creating the shadow. So what we create, we can also discreate in a way. I don't know the term, but we can also choose to uncreate it. To recreate it is a better word because you cannot undo something because all just is. But you can recreate on every level because you're always brand new. Because you're always in that state of just being. So you can recreate anything you can. Just by choosing love instead of fear. Just by choosing not to run away or to hide and seek, play that game. And just say, I see everything. I'm a conscious being. I'm an aware being. I choose to see. I choose to acknowledge, accept, embrace, let go. And to truly release through that. We only release through acknowledgement. And you don't have to acknowledge, why that is so, what affected you in that way. Just feel the feeling. Don't have to associate it with anything because then you know what, I've read Eckhart Tolle once and he said, I just read one of his books years ago. And he said, if you really want to scratch the past in a way and really, really want to go there and, want to see everything that was there and just stir up the mess, stir up the crap, in a way that he said that, what you get is more crap. It stinks even more, which is true. Don't go into the past. What was there? What was that? It's okay to see maybe objectively you get a clue what that feeling that is more of the negative one, which you choose to call it that way, is from, what really what created it. And then you can see what you can choose to recreate it in another form. You can do that, but only through love and forgiveness, through that neutral state. You can easily get that hook of pulling you backwards and feeling guilt. And guilt is the lowest state of that fear. Lowest emotion we can get is that guilt. We all feel it sometimes, but it's the lowest state. So the more that you will feel good and in your natural bliss, the more that others will feel good. Because remember, in that healing process, you're responsible just for yourself and your own healing, not for another. A lot of people like to say, I want my beloved ones, my beloveds to be happy. So they try to make them happy. So they try to give them everything. And in the end, they lose themselves because they did not give to themselves. Because what is the point of giving? Is to give to yourself, to give to another. You are receiving from all that is, not from another. It's not just a horizontal thing, it's a vertical and horizontal thing. It's both. So remember, it's always drawing from all that is, not drawing energy from another or abundance from another. Abundance just is. It's everywhere. We think sometimes in terms that we get to pick it from certain elements, from certain people, from certain things or events that will make us happy and feel whole. No, we already are. It's around us. It's a web of all that is. We just tap into it, and when we are in that connected state, when we are aware that we're connected, we just draw forth from that. And then when we are in that state and responsible for our own well-beingness, for our own healing, then another can more easily jump and shift to their own natural state, to their own vibe again. That's how it is. It's simple as that. And we are surrendering a lot of these things lately. And remember, nothing is done without forgiveness, but all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. So who's going to forgive you? It's just about you. Because in a way, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. It starts with us. So there is no bad or good, or it just is. And it was there to serve a purpose. It was there to teach us something about us, which we have not remembered yet. And then we go, light bulb going up, and we remember again. And it feels divine and it feels free. And it's all about freedom, because that is our natural state. And that's how you will know you're shifting through that. So anyway, you guys, you're all lovely, you're all strong. Remember that, because we're all strong. We just keep forgetting that. We have all the power, so don't seek externally because it doesn't exist there. Everyone that is externally serves their own purpose and is responsible for their own self, their own growth and healing. So enjoy your own. And when you are in that zone, enjoy also the connectedness with others and learn through relationships, because they're our strongest teacher. But do not focus externally on them. That's where the alchemy lies. So enjoy this week, enjoy your weekend, and much fun, everyone. Enjoy. Much love. Bye.